What's going on, everybody, man? It's your boy Doc Holiday. We're back with another HBCU Overdrive live stream. Haven't done it by now. Make sure that you like the stream. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get everything HBCU Overdrive. I am having technical difficulties over here because of the simple fact that I am stuck in the house and it's cold outside. And we are iced over in here in Dallas. So y'all have to excuse me. Y'all have to kind of bear with me. Y'all have to bear with me. Excuse me. I'm trying to get everything, uh, everything. But I'm gonna introduce my guest. She is the athletic director for Chicago State University. I welcome y'all, Dr. Monique Carroll.
Chief Doc, thanks for having me.
Hold on, let me see if I can hear you. Hold on, 'cause I'm having technical difficulties over here. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me? Are
Oh,
we good?
I got a new soundboard and I'm still trying to get it to work, but I am happy that you're on the show. Uh, first off, they want to get let everybody know about uh your background and what you do for Chicago State.
All right. So my background, I am a HBCU graduate from University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, the flagship of the Delta. I was a Division One student athlete there, volleyball and track and field. Even got an opportunity to do a little bowling while I was a student athlete. From there, I pretty much wanted a career in administration. That has taken me to working at the SWAC conference office, working at Prairie A&M University, South Carolina State University, Huston-tillotson University. So one theme I'm sure you can see is all historically Black colleges and universities. And I have ventured out to a predominantly Black institution this time in Chicago State, leading the 15 NCAA Division One sports programs here in the Windy City.
All right, all right. So everybody know who everybody know who you are now. So everybody knows what's going on. But um now we're gonna get to the whole logist of it because we talked about uh I first congratulated y'all as far as uh having the possibility of adding football to the program. Um tell me what is the feeling around campus about that opportunity coming to Chicago?
It's a lot of excitement, a lot of momentum to help make it happen. I have student athletes coming in my office asking, "Hey, are we really getting football?" I'm having different individuals in the community reaching out. Everybody's tuned in to what we're doing at Chicago State. A lot of people are saying it's about time, and so it is really a lot of momentum. I joke with a couple of my staff members today. uh, we beat the Citadel last night in men's basketball. Women's basketball has had a couple wins. We had some track athletes break some records. I said, well, we should have announced this a long time ago. But it just goes to show just all the hard work that the student athletes and the coaches are doing. And this is just another culminating moment of the progress that we're making. It's indicative of that progress.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So you already did the feasibility study. What was the study about when it comes let people know understand what a feasibility study is when it comes to certain sports, especially football.
Yeah, so a feasibility study, look in very layman terms, is going to say, is it really feasible? And this is how you can make it happen. And so it's we brought in a consultant group, and they provided us with this is what the numbers would be. This are projected budgets. These are projected things that you need to think about from a facility, scholarships, administrative support, salaries, employment salaries, all of those things. It kind of looks at those. It benchmarks them against similar institutions. It also gives us some things if we want to where we want to grow to. It's going to benchmark them against those. So about a 200-page document detailing all of those things and factors within the feasibility study, and that was enough data and information for us to say, and instead of looking at some of the projections, some were modest, some were aggressive. Let's get into the exact business of Chicago State and see how to make this happen.
Okay, okay. And so, who is on board with the exploratory committee at
Uh,
Chicago?
so Okay. So we have a dynamic group of people involved throughout the city, community members as well as stakeholders with football. We have some members of the 85 Bears team involved. We have some of our board of trustees involved. One of the CEOs of one of the largest nonprofits in Chicago, he's involved. So it really is the I joked with them during our first committee meeting. Everybody gave their name in like a 3-second introduction, and that really did no justice to the people in the room because there are people that are moving and shaking in Chicago in at the athletic spaces and the football spaces and other sports spaces to really make things happen. So, and then we do have an internal group with people on campus that'll be a part of that group. So, some athletic staff members, people that work in different operational areas to give the Chicago State weigh in to the group as well.
Okay, and so the whole thing about this, it says exploratory committee. Uh, all you're doing it, you're just basically exploring the options of adding football and the doing, as far as is it with logistics at a logistics standpoint, as far as with the committee on
Yes,
on.
yeah.
Okay,
So it would need approval of our board, but what we're putting together for the president is, hey, we had this 200-page feasibility study that said, it's feasible. Now let's put it into practical application. What are all of the steps that we need to take? Where are all of the resources we need to put in place and really make a strong plan and present that to the president so she can make the determination and then ultimately presented, if it's favorable, presented to the board to say, hey, will you all, approve us adding football? And it'll also dive into what are the women's sports that we should add. The study mentions a few sports, and we all know there are emerging sports coming every day with NCAA. So um, we will get into the weeds of what are the sports, so we can stop just saying women's sports. By the time the report is final, we'll say football and this sport and that sport or whatever that looks like. So getting into, like you said, the very day to day, the weeds of it.
okay. Um, and so once if this is approved by the school president, what is the actual timeline for Chicago State to actually have a team built?
So that is a good question. So what we've put together, we're saying it could be as early as fall 2025. But once again, that's some of the work that the committee is going to do. If we see anything that could be a barrier and we have to make an action plan for that, we'll put a timeline out. We'll be giving updates along the way, so people won't have to wait until it's all final to kind of know. But the what we'll do is really determine, can we pull it off by fall 2025. We are confident that if we do all the work as a committee, we can put a plan together to address that. So it could be as early as then, or giving us a roadmap to when it could happen.
Okay, so here's the big question. Here's the big question. If football is added to or to the athletic department, yeah, and this is coming from a lot of people that's in when it comes to college football. What conference Chicago State, what conference would you join as far as the football, or would you bring all sports along with football to join what conference? What conference do you feel like would be the most accessible for you?
All right, so you had that right. That is the big question, right? So we want to. One of the things that I'm passionate about within my strategic vision for the department is having our sports compete in as few conferences as possible. Right now, we're in the Horizon League for tennis. We were recently in the MAC conference with men's soccer before they dropped that sport. So as we're looking at what is the next step for our conference, we are really looking to see who can encompass everybody, not just take basketball or the additional football, but who can take the tennis, the golf, the men and women's soccer teams, the entire department. It may not work out that way. We still may need other affiliate memberships. But that is really one of the things we're being aggressive about. We've had conversations with different conferences. It's no secret we pursued the MEAC conference last year, and it was not a favorable vote. But we're still engaged with them and other conferences. The biggest thing for me is finding the place that Chicago State fits. Somebody that wants us, a conference we want to be a part of, similar mission and values, so our athletic department can continue to grow. Um, we want to try to keep it regional, as regional as possible, to what makes sense from a travel standpoint for the student athletes. So it's a lot of factors going into it. I know I'm not naming conferences, but if you look at some of the ones that are in our footprint and some of the ones that we've been known to be pursuing, I could say those are some that are on the list that we're still having active conversations with to see where we end up.
Okay, okay. So I remember last year when y'all was announcing the act as far as bringing one of the conference. Um, they said my volume is low. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's yeah.
Okay, okay. They were saying my volume is kind of low, but um, joining the MEAC was they felt like it wasn't suitable for them because I guess if you could really think about it, the travel logistics because it's more of an East Coast conference, dealing with the Carolinas, uh, Virginia, and somewhat Delaware. But and when you say regional, we're more regional as far as in the Midwest. In the Midwest, in that in the sense of that more like Ohio Valley. Um, which one do you think is suitable for Chicago? Hello? Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Are we still on?
Yeah, we still on. Which
Okay, yeah.
conference do you think is suitable for Chicago as far as a regional standpoint? That what you kind of pointed out.
I think we have options. I told you that's the beauty of being in the Midwest. You have the OVC in region. You have the Horizon League in region. Even some other conferences have teams more regionally located. The MAC. The travel. It's the beauty of being in the Midwest, right? You are in the middle of everything, but then sometimes that can be a disadvantage because you are in the middle. You have to go one coast or the other. But those are just some that I would throw out that are more regional and would allow our student athletes to be in class more, on campus more, as opposed to when we were in the WAC conference. The way the conference realigned initially, I think it was beautiful because we had UMKC that was relatively close, and then once they left, like conference alignment does, it shifted the entire dynamic of the conference. And so that's one of the things we're keeping a pulse on. Where our schools looking, what conferences are looking to add schools, get rid of schools. How would that play out with the shift? So there's a lot that plays out with that. But I'm hopeful by this summer we'll have a better idea of where we are. We're not waiting until we add sports to try to find a conference home. The student athletes that we have now, we're working adamantly to try to make sure as soon as possible they have a conference home. So.
That's cool. Uh, and one of the things a lot of people say when you add football, you add more kids coming to the school. Was that another thing that y'all was looking at also as far as with enrollment for the university?
Yes, definitely. I think anything the athletic department does, we have to make sure it aligns with the strategic priorities of the university. And so athletics, we fit right in that, trying to bring in additional students that would meet that juncture. If we don't, we still have a strategy of how we'll meet the enrollment goals. But that's definitely you looking at maybe possibly up to 200 new athletes, and that those would just probably be involved with the department. That wouldn't count the ones that would choose Chicago State, because now you do have these things that they can participate in as students. So I think it's yeah, it aligns directly with our strategic goals for as a university.
And as far as the feasibility study, how much did they say if you added football? What would the revenue be? How much revenue would be generated uh, adding football to to the university? How what do they say? Like what kind of revenue jump will they have? With Chicago State have if adding football as a program?
So the feasibility study didn't get into the exact details. It gave some, projections. We all know guarantee games are a thing that could happen. We know ticket sales could go up. We know sponsorship. So it was very, they did provide some context, but that is the work of the subcommittees within the exploratory committee to really say, okay, this is how we want to go out. I mean, we all familiar with guarantee games. We could make the money playing two or three of those, but
Right,
that's not, is that the strategic direction that we want to go? And so it could look different, and that's what the committee's going to come together and really decide, even to where we would play at. That's another question that comes up. If we play at a space that have a 5,000 seat capacity, well, ticket revenue could be limited. If you go up to 10, now you're exploring more potential revenue options. You add premium seating, it could go the gamut. So it's a facilities working group that's tasked on looking at those specific things to tell us, to advise myself and the president of what is the revenue we can expect from this. So no number, but I think it's a lot of different ways we'll get there by looking at, how do we want to approach game guarantees? How do we want to approach, ticket sales? How do we want to approach sponsorships as we look to build this thing out?
all right. Oh, and that segues into another question. Stadium, stadium. If possible, um, would you be uh, playing in a stadium that's shared with high schools on the south side of town, or would you be in the works of building a new stadium that seats a certain amount of seats a certain amount of people, where you can sell, your season ticket sales and stuff like that? Where how would that work out?
Yeah. So we've thrown out a lot of different options, everywhere from playing at a nearby local high school facility to building our own. I think those things, would take some time and some very good fundraising efforts from my behalf to go out and get the money to make it happen. But it could look any different way, and that's why we brought community partners onto the committee because they are, plugged into what the community needs, where the spaces are, ways we could really make this happen. And so obviously it's every division one program's dream to have a home field right on campus. We have a practice space, we have a regulation football field. We just don't have the ancillary stadium needs around it. We sit, 95th and King Drive. We have 160 acres of campus space, and a portion that is not developed. So I think opportunities exist if we determine in the future we want to do it. But also, I'm excited about the way we can bring the community in, playing there. I know it's some NCAA rules that may get tricky, sharing, a stadium, who owns it, things like that. Especially with high school recruits being in and out if it's their home stadium as well. But those things, we can navigate. But I'm looking forward to just having football somewhere, Division I football somewhere in the South Side of Chicago.
And uh how are people on that side of town? How are they taking it in as far as what y'all are trying to do in Chicago State to bring football?
So the response has been relatively positive. People, they say it's about time. We at our basketball game this past weekend, we invited some community leaders and some of our community partners, and most of them, that's how they led the conversation. I was trying to introduce myself to them, and they were like, "No, we saw you on the news. We saw y'all were doing football. We already know, what's happening." So I think even for the community member that may not have been as plugged in with Chicago State, I think this gives them just an additional way, outside of all the other great things happening at the university. It gives them another way to just plug in and see what's happening. So it's been mostly positive.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm gonna tell you just like this. Hey, Dr. McClellan, you need to be on the phone with the AD over here to try to see if you can bring Chicago State to the SWAC.
I'm very familiar with Commissioner McClellan. They may be slightly out of our geographic footprint unless we could get some more schools. But yeah, it's we're gonna find a conference. We looking forward to, like I said, finding a conference with similar values, similar mission, and where we can be competitive. We don't want to come into anybody conference and be at the bottom. We'll come in and be at the top, but then even in that, I would venture to say, is this the right fit? If we come in and we are, dominating in that fashion, either from a financial or competitive standpoint. So
Hey, AD Robinson, I want to get on the phone with her. See, get this Jackson State Chicago State game coming on later on down the line. Hey, we need that. And I think
yeah.
it will be good for the South Side. It'll be good for Chicago. It'll be good for Jackson because it's just a pipeline right there. That's just a pipe dream for me because I'm a Jackson
Yeah.
State
Well,
guy.
well, look, well, look, well, look. I'll say, my first. I'm aging myself a little bit. My first 8 years in the business, I worked under Ashley, so he was instrumental in getting me here to this day. So, who knows? And we also on our committee we have Larry Huggins, who's involved with the Chicago Football Classic. So who knows where this thing could take off?
Hey, uh, give people let people understand what's the difference between Chicago, a predominantly black institution, and the HBCU. Because people on some, I kind of got confused a little bit because I thought Chicago State was an HBCU, but until I started reading on it, give people a broader sense of what the difference is between
Yeah, so the best way I could put it to help everyone understand is historical. HBCU stands for historically Black college and university. So when the designation was made of those HBCUs, those are the only HBCUs that ever be included. And one thing I reference when I say that even a current HBCU, no matter what the student demographics look like, will always be a HBCU. That's why you have some HBCUs that were designated that have attendance that's not predominantly black.
right?
And so the difference is we weren't designated, we didn't get included in the number, but the mission is the same of what we do because we're a predominantly black institution. So all of the things we do, all of the strategic moves we make are trying to figure out how to educate more African American students, and now we've ventured into more Latinx students, how to be a pipeline for those students and underrepresented groups. So the mission's the same. We're even receiving more funding. There are a group of predominantly black institutions. We aren't the only one. But we can never be historical. So that is even, as a HBCU graduate myself, I've had to say that a couple of times here in Chicago. We are not a HBCU, but some similar culture, similar mission and values to HBCUs.
Okay. Got a question from one of my guys. He's a BA guy, Russell Haynes. Yes. What years were you at South Carolina State? What was your position?
All right, I was at South Carolina State. Oh, y'all can get me going back on my resume. 2019 to 2020, and I was the deputy AD and senior women administrator. So had a interesting in time there. Only interested in the fact of I loved it. I was making South Carolina State home, and then I got a call from Huston-tillotson University to be an AD. And when you get that call, you have to answer. So still keep in touch with individuals there. Had a great time. That was really something special working with the coaches and the supporters. I would venture you're a Jackson State guy. When people talk about the best alumni and the best boosters and the best supporters financially of programs, I think South Carolina State is easily at the top of that list.
Okay. Okay. And uh, your work at Huston-tillotson in Austin, Texas. So you went from Orangeburg, South Carolina, all the way to Austin, Texas, which is more eclectic. How was it? Uh,
So go ahead.
I said, how was it as a pastor? How was it working there at Huston-tillotson?
It was good. Interesting part. My first day there was March 16, 2020. So I started there the day the pandemic really the day the world shut down. That was my first day on the job. So imagine the week before I was at South Carolina State, and we were talking about how we're going to manage this thing called COVID. What is this? And then into my first days on the job, the same conversation, sitting in a different seat, sitting in the ADC. Austin was a beautiful city. One of the things we were located downtown East Austin, and one of the things about Austin is everybody wanted to support Huston-tillotson University. So when I would go out in the community, we had partnerships with the Spurs. We were for Central Texas. We were a lot of the companies closest thing, closest HBCU. If they wanted to contact another, they had to go to a Prairie View, Texas Southern. They had to travel a little further. So we got a lot of engagement from Austin. Austin is weird. When they say keep Austin weird, that stands true. But I really had a good time in Austin.
Okay. David told me he asked, is bringing back baseball a possibility for Chicago?
So the thing I'll say about baseball, obviously, prior to my tenure, but the things I've learned and gotten up to speed about, um, baseball was cut while we were in the WAC conference, right after the pandemic started, and I think those were the driving factors of baseball being cut. And since then, we've added men's soccer. Um, it was seen, especially with them being in the MAC conference, it was seen as being, do you want a baseball team in the WAC or men's soccer in the MAC? And it was a better option at that time. Sport expansion, if the committee looks and says that we can support more programs, more, that's why we intentionally call it the Football Exploratory and Sport Expansion Committee. If that is a recommendation, then we will follow that. Most schools I've been at have had baseball, so some have not, but I have heard that question from a lot of the former athletes, as well as baseball players that were here during that time. So I would say nothing's off the table. It'll be up to us to look and see what's feasible. But we have added men's soccer since then, so that may play a role in that.
Okay. And what? This is the last question for the football thing. Uh, what? How was it? How is it working with the local high school football coaches on the South Side?
So the thing I will say, and it goes back to what I talked about, the community just wanted to be engaged. So after the press conference last week, we had a community reception. We had coaches from CPS, Chicago Public Schools, some of the charter schools. Coaches were there. One of the committee members, he's the head coach at Simeon, head football coach, Dante Colbreth. So there are ties. I think they're excited about it. I even had to ask my compliance office after we made the announcement, refresh me on all the rules on social media, because I have, the class of 26, 27 football players from Chicago, adding me. And I'm like, wait till we get a coach. I'm not going to be the person to recruit you. But it just goes to show that the school system is excited. We invited principals out to the event. Everybody sees the opportunity. One thing I heard a lot was, if young men want to stay home, now they have an avenue to do that.
Right. Right. And I think that is the greatest avenue right there, especially for Chicago State. Sitting on the south side, you also have University of Chicago, which is more over in the High Park area, but they play D3. But you will be the only one that's inside the city limits of Chicagoland. I'm not saying Evanston Township because that's way on the north side of town. It ain't even in Chicago; it's its own city. Uh, but you will be the only school within in Division One FCS. Let's not people understand FCS, not FBS, FCS to have football inside the city of Chicago. Uh, to me, I feel like you said, that you're getting all these 20 class of 2026, class of 2027, kids coming in, or even class of 2025, because by the time if it all comes together, by the time 2025 comes, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, so now we really gotta go out there and start recruiting. But it's still good to have to have that notoriety though, and that notion, because you want kids. I think kids want to play in front of their parents, and I know some kids want to venture off somewhere else because of circumstances, certain circumstances. But for those kids to stay in Chicago would be the best thing to ever come for that side of town right there.
Oh yeah, I'm big on saying, we got to protect our backyard, and that's in every sport. I think you'll start seeing, more, Chicago student athletes on our rosters, as we look to make that statement, like, this is our territory, this is our yard. And even with, the ones, I say this all the time, I've been witness to it at every university. Maybe you do go away for school, and maybe it's not a good fit, maybe circumstances you have to come back. Now you can come back and still play football. You can play Division 1 football right here in Chicago. So I think, from every avenue is positive.
And like you said, that would give enough time. Like if it's all accepted, you'll give enough time to find a head coach. That head coach can have a budget. That budget, he could get his assistants, whatever he needs. They need to have in order for the program to be successful. You will have that much time to get it going. Because if, like I said, if accepted, you will be the second university, because I forgot, University of Texas Rio Grande Valley is starting up a football program also, and of course it's University of Texas, so they're gonna put in money to get them started, and they're gonna be on the on the FCS level also.
Mhm.
Uh, it would be y'all will it will be a good time. It will be a great time in Chicago. That's all I gotta say. That's what I
Yeah, I can echo that. I mean, now it's already a good time. So to build on that, like, it'll be a great time.
so. I hold on, got a Larry Martin. Larry Martin said been trying to get Chicago State at HBCU, especially the SWAC, South, and Chicago historical connection. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. It's all
Yeah, that. Yeah. So say there are a lot of HBCU alumni in the city, so Chicago definitely has that connection to HBCUs, even, without one. Even when we have HBCU night at basketball, we invite every alumni association with a chapter in Chicago. So we understand the assignment.
Okay. Oh, so now we talking about Chicago State. Let's get into the SWAC. And your alma mater, UAPB, they had a couple of down years um, with Doc Campbell. They actually let him go in the middle of last season, uh, and they now hired Alonzo Hampton as their head coach. How do you feel about Pine Bluff? What do you feel about what Pine Bluff needs to do and to be in order to be successful as far as football comes back
Yeah, one of the things, Coach Hampton, he was actually, I was at Pine Bluff and we ran into our paths crossed at some point in time. I would say that the biggest thing is, and this is affecting most college departments, stability. All right.
around?
Being able to keep an athletic director in place, keep a president or chancellor in place, keep a CFO, keep a director of a foundation or alumni relations. The key people that really can impact growth, those are the people you have to keep in place to do it. You have capital campaigns, you want to do a project, you get it started, people transition, and it just slows it down a little bit. It can still be done, but if you really look at the people and the universities that are having success, their athletic directors have been there, their presidents and chancellors. Some combination of stability exists within that, and I think they're on the right page. I just saw them a couple of weeks in San Antonio. Chris Robinson, they're on the right page with that, and it's just the alumni. We have to lean in to that and really support what's going on. And I'm in several groups. I think Golden Line Nation is doing that. And everybody has a desire to be the best of the best in the SWAC. One thing I love about being a product of the SWAC is we talk a little noise. We say what we have to say, regardless of what's going on with our teams, win, lose, or draw. We're going to talk. But I think that's the thing that's going to keep UAPB headed in a good direction is keeping that stability at all those key positions.
Um, and that's cool though because I feel like they do need the stability. I've always said that your your untapped potential when it comes to football as far as recruiting goes is your East Texas area, Southern Arkansas, Mississippi Delta, Northern Louisiana, and Memphis. And I feel like you can kind of expect they can expand a little bit up north too into Missouri, also east and west into Oklahoma, and you can kind of go a little bit further down towards the South Louisiana. But Coach Hampton got he got a big job to to do because he lost a lot of kids. There's a lot of roster turnover. Uh, Hopefully, he can get the program to be uh, back on the winning track. 'Cause I tell people this: you ever think about it? Pine Bluff never been a bad football team. Pine Bluff always had good football teams. Uh, you can go back when they actually joined the SWAC back in the late '90s, uh, and you saw it with the teams that they had, especially with the defense that they had. But Pine Bluff has always been that sleeper team in the SWAC. Um, and of course, you said you was at Prairie View, so that's where you crossed paths with AD Ashley Robinson. Um, how was it working? I mean, how was it working under him, and how was it when you was there as far as football
So working with Ashley was amazing. He is a leader that lets his team do, lets them work. It's no secret, when you look at the people that have worked for him, ADs, SWAs, at HBCUs, and some even, beyond that. Because if you want to engage in the work, he's going to guide you through the work, but really give you a chance to make it happen. And when we were at Prairie View, we got a chance to build all those facilities. All of that happened with soccer, a separate track complex, a football stadium. We renovated baseball, softball. The students got a new rec center. I mean, all of that happened in about a span of just a few short years. And so it was really a great time, when we were all at Prairie View together. Like I said, still in touch. If y'all follow me on Instagram, you see it's a picture I posted recently of us all together. The band back together. But it was good, and it's no surprise when he was nominated the FCSAD of the year, because I know personally, the hard work he puts into it, the vision he has, and he's instilled that in me, that we're not going to take second place. If we're going to do it, we're going to be the best, and we're going to do it to the best of our ability. And I think you saw that in the way Jackson State has been able to elevate since he's been there. So I mean, I could talk on and on about that. Like I said, gave my first job at the SWAT conference office. That was the first time we worked together. So I mean, it was just it's due, because he definitely has put in all the work.
Mhm. Yeah, I feel like decisions that the decisions, the hirings that he made, especially in football, hiring, while at Prairie View, hiring Willie Simmons, hiring Eric Dooley, and then he bounced to Jackson State, uh, hiring Dion, which was the biggest. I think that was the biggest hire that he has ever made, and then also last but not least, hiring TC Taylor. Uh, also bringing in Coach Tamika Reed as far as women's basketball, and to get Mo Williams from Alabama State to come back on to Jackson. That I think his his resume is above and beyond a lot of AD's resumes. I'm not saying that they're bad or anything, but I just say what
Yeah.
what he has done in the years that he has been at these institutions, like you, it's second to none. Like you can't really say anything bad about it.
Mhm.
you know,
Oh yeah, definitely. Like you say, it takes a knack to be able to recruit coaches, and not just recruit them but retain them. And he definitely has that knack. And when the time comes, you've seen the hires he's made. He's not afraid to go out and make the hires, and make them work for whatever institution he's at. And as you said, some ADs have it and some don't. So
all right. So well, look, let everybody plug everybody in to what's going on and where they can find you at. Um, ask about Chicago State as an institution as for athletics. If just let everybody plug in everybody for where they can find
all right, to keep up with us, athletic department, our website is www.gocsucougars.com. That's where you can find all the latest information. You can find us. Our Sports Center top 10 play from yesterday is on there, from men's basketball. Follow us on all of our Twitter, Instagram. If you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram, AD Monique Carroll. I'm on Twitter as Mo Carroll, Moecarroll. On Facebook's first name, last name, and I'm always sharing everything that's going on. Probably not as active as I need to be because I'm working, but definitely here to engage and hear about anybody that has an interest in Chicago State, and what we're doing next, and how we're going to bring football to the South Side.
you. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna keep in contact with you if y'all do make that decision if it's approved, and we gonna keep talking about this and what who can be targeted as a coach. And I know you got a big old list about coaching. People who want to come in and coach, who you think should be good for the program. But we could talk all about that once it gets approved. Right?
Nice. Look, I'm already getting resumes in my email. I already have coaches adding me on LinkedIn. Like I said, that goes to show it's some interest in what we're building here on the South Side.
All right. There y'all have it. Dr. Monique Carroll, AD for Chicago State Athletics. Uh, I thank you for coming on to the show. I thank you for coming on. Candid conversation. That's all it was.
Always. Thank you for having me, and I will be more than happy to come back anytime.
All right. Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, you too. Thank you.
All right. All right. All right. That was interesting, everybody. That was interesting. That was interesting. That was interesting. So it was a good thing to have. Um, it was a good thing to have right there. Like I said, it was a candid conversation, and y'all heard about what's going on the south side of Chicago, and I think this would be a good thing to have right there. Uh, Also, like I said, I'm still doing my crowdfunding for Bethune Cookman Athletics, not just for the football team, but for the whole athletics. Uh, just to come up with 2,000 by mid February, or I probably have to push it back to like the end of February, beginning of March. Uh, you could whatever you want to donate, you could cash out 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. It doesn't matter how much it is, because everything that you do, it goes to the kids, and I will reply back to you and acknowledge that you have made your donation right there. Uh, also, we got uh National Signing Day preview tonight at 6 o'clock with She Loves D. So we're gonna get into the Jackson State National Signing Day preview, and we're gonna get to some more schools as far as National Signing Day come around, which is tomorrow. So you will be hearing updates. You'll see videos. Um, um, you go on Max Preps, on 3, 24/7 Sports, um, ESPN, CBS Sports Network, NBC Sports Network, um, Spy Sports. Hey, everywhere you'll find everything everywhere about what's going on. Also check your local affiliates, your local newspaper outlets, and they will have some sort of updates and everything as far as when it comes to uh, National Signing Day, y'all. Uh, what up, Randy? Uh, hey, Willie. You have to check that. You have to rewind and check it back out again, man. But it was a good thing, man. It was a good thing. Um, you have to check that back out. But um, as always, man, um, like I said, I'm stuck in the house. It's ice and snow. You know, we from the south. We ain't used to this. We ain't used to this. I'm not used to this. So hopefully I don't get cabin fever. So I'm kind of gonna stay busy, read my books and stuff like that all the way up until it's time for showtime at 6 o'clock. And then tomorrow depends on how the weather is tomorrow for me. Um, I'm more likely will be at work, but if not, I'll probably be back here at the house, uh, staying warm, not getting no accidents or anything like that. But Amanda Hawkins, thank you for your donation, Amanda Hawkins. Amanda, thank you for your donation. It is well received. We will send, like I said, I will send this to Bethune. We are almost at 400 right now, and the best thing about it is you know what I'm saying, we not finished with it, which is a good thing. Uh, also, also, let's see. So I got to try to get some things coming down the pipeline. Looking for some sponsors. Anybody that's want to sponsor the show, just hit me up. Um, the email is hbcuoverdrive@gmail.com. Um, also, I'm trying to figure some other stuff out too. So, um, we got some things coming up for this show. Uh, for the podcast. Shout out to I'm gonna say y'all. Shout out to Ken Clark with the covering of the NFLPA Bowl, and the interview that he did with Zay Bolden, cornerback formerly of Jackson State. And hey, and shout out to my boy Austin ASVP Visuals. That production was fire. It was fire. I ain't not gonna sleep. I ain't not gonna hold y'all. I ain't gonna sleep. Talk bad about it. It was fire. How's that, Russell? Uh, but yeah, the whole interview was good, bro. The whole interview was good. The whole interview was good. So I give it up to Ken and Austin for making that happen, showing all the highlights from the that All Star Bowl game right there, and I know they getting ready to go Senior Bowl, um, Shrine Bowl. Um, so it's a lot of stuff going on out there. I feel you, Willie. I feel you. But anyway, man, I am gonna be out. Uh, come back on there at 6 o'clock as always. Um, I'm your guy. I'm your boy. Hey, I'm your boy, Doc Holiday. This has been another HBCU Overdrive live stream. Make sure that you hit that like button, share it with your people, comment on the show. Most of all, subscribe if you want to become a full-time subscriber. It's only $4.99, y'all. $4.99. $4.99 for membership for the channel. Like I said, this money doesn't go to my pocket. It goes towards the improvements of the channel. So that's how we do it here. That's what we're gonna do, and that's how we're gonna keep doing it, y'all. Cause it's I'm just be like my boy Aubrey. Shit don't stop. Hey, Willie, I'm not in Jackson. I live in Dallas. I'm from Dallas. I'm from Dallas. But Jackson State is always gonna be with me because that's my school right there. Went there in the late '90s, early 2000s. Uh, it made me into the man who I am right now. So I give it up for Jackson. But uh, as always, y'all, and we out of here. Catch back at 6 o'clock. So y'all be blessed. Y'all stay safe, and also as always, y'all stay dangerous. Peace.